let's take a look at 7 ways to encourage your tenants to pay rent on time. Number 1 is making paying rent convenient. If you require tenants to withdraw cash to pay rent or they need to mail you a check, the process may be a little bit inconvenient and you're more likely to get paid late. You can avoid these inconveniences by setting up an online rent payment system. Online rent collection means that tenants can pay from their computer, tablet, or smartphone with just a few simple clicks. And with a platform specifically designed for rent collection, tenants may have access to features like helpful rent reminders and a way to set up automatic payments. Number 2 is to choose tenants carefully. In our video about managing rentals, we covered the importance of tenant screening. But did you know that your tenant screening process can also help you avoid late rent payments? The screening reports you request from your applicants can give you a comprehensive view of each prospective tenant. As a landlord, you might want to verify your tenant's employment and income to determine whether or not it will be challenging for them to pay rent on time. Number 3 is to inform tenants on how to pay rent. Our next tip for encouraging on-time rent payments is to clearly explain the process to your tenants. This can be done verbally, but it may be better to have the process documented in your lease for easy reference. Proper instructions should include the following. 1. What day rent is due. 2. Which payment method tenants can use to pay rent. 3. Instructions for how to pay rent on your preferred platform. And finally, who to contact if they have issues paying rent online. A well-documented rent process can help minimize any obstacles that tenants might run into and reduce the likelihood of late rent payments. Number 4 is offer incentives for paying rent on time. As a landlord, you're allowed to offer your tenants reasonable incentives for paying rent on time. It's a great way to thank your tenants for following the policies that you've set in place and encourage them to continue to do so. You may consider offering your tenants discounts on rent prices for paying rent before their due date. Or you could offer a percentage off for paying a certain amount of months on time. Opportunities to save on rent will likely be well received by your tenants. Alternatively, you can leverage other benefits as well. For example, if tenants pay rent online with Avail, they can report on-time rent payments to TransUnion with credit views for $3.95 per reported month. Building credit is usually a concern for renters, and this is an easy way to help them improve their credit while encouraging on-time payments. Number 5 is to discuss late payments with your tenants. Late payments are not acceptable, so landlords should be open to discussing them with tenants to help them determine a solution. If your tenant simply forgot to pay, you can offer to send rent reminder notices to help them prevent missed payments in the future. If it turns out that your tenant's pay schedule from work doesn't align well with your rent due dates, you may consider creating a lease amendment to change the day that rent is due each month. Communicating with your tenant and making an effort to understand the situation proves that you're a helpful landlord, and that alone may be enough to motivate your tenant to pay rent on time. Number 6 is to enforce a late fee. While communicating with your tenant about difficulties is a great practice for landlords, it's also important not to get too lax with tenants. A simple way to remind tenants that it's more beneficial to pay rent on time is by enforcing a late rent fee. A late rent fee is an additional fee charged to tenants after any grace period has passed and rent is officially late. It's intended to compensate the landlord for any back and forth communication and is used to dissuade tenants from paying late rent. Late fees are legal and enforceable as long as they're explicitly stated in your lease and adhere to local landlord-tenant laws. When determining your late rent fee, you should specify the amount and when it'll be charged. By doing so, you can communicate your expectations clearly to your tenant before they agree to sign the lease. And finally, number 7 is stick to your rental lease terms. You may have noticed that several of the previous tips involve using your lease. That's because your lease is a legally binding agreement between you and your tenants. By agreeing to the terms that you lay out, including when rent is due, your tenants agree to the responsibilities while living within your rental. While you can be flexible where needed, it's important to enforce your rules and require rent to be paid on time. Adhering to your rules stated in your lease is an important part of protecting your rental business. And remember, you can always connect with me on Instagram at Lattes Leases for more information. Thanks again.